has the LeBron Lakers tenure been a complete flop or a flop in general? Because I know that one championship you can't actually say complete, but it has been a flop. I'll start with you, Keys.
If you think LeBron's tenure in LA has been a flop, I just need you to think back to 2015 Lakers starting five right now. What were they doing? They were doing nothing. There was a point in time once Kobe Bryant went down, the Lakers were irrelevant. They get LeBron James, his first year, he's hurt. Okay. They were on pace to make the playoffs that year until he got hurt. Okay. Second year, he wins a championship. Third year, struggle. Okay. Fourth year, he's having okay. He's 37 years old.
Oh, God. Here we go.
Putting up 31 a night. You have to respect it, no matter how you look at it.
I already love having him on the show.
Yo, no matter how you look at it, bro. You might think it's a flop because they're not champions. They've been relevant. They've won a championship in the past 3 years. How can you say that's a flop? You made a move for LeBron to win a championship, and you did that. You traded for AD to secure that, and you did that. That was their point in trading for AD.
Listen,
Now, I understand we all had this dynastic image of the Lakers. We thought that, a younger guy next to AD could carry the ropes. But you did what you set out to do, which was win a championship with LeBron and AD. I don't see that as a failure.
I see how this table's going to go.
if you want to go.
The LeBron tenure with the Lakers has been a flop. It hasn't been a complete flop. And I'll give credit to LeBron in this aspect. Had it not been for LeBron, we're talking about the Lakers the same way we talk about the Knicks currently.
Maybe worse.
A dysfunctional franchise, maybe even worse. Bottom of the barrel. We're talking about the Lakers as a bottom of the barrel franchise. When they got LeBron in 18-19, he played 55 games. Lakers went 37-45. You can use all that he was hurt. Well, that's part of this discussion.
He played how many games, though?
In 1920, 55 is still missing 23 games.
I'm almost sure when he got hurt, they were fourth seed.
They were. But then he came back and said, 0 dark 30, I'm going into that mode, and they missed the playoffs.
But on to my point. This is what I'm going to say. LeBron's first year, he plays 55 games and missed the playoffs. His second year, he plays 67 games. His healthiest year in LA, they win the championship. A lot of people attribute that to the shortened season. To the season being stopped. And now Anthony Davis, who's very injury prone, getting a lot of time to rest. I understand.
Those are the haters.
I'm not going to take away that championship, though, because
haters.
I feel like it holds validity.
And I don't think a lot of people's accurate.
In the third season with the Lakers, he plays 45 games. The Lakers lose in the first round. Another unhealthy season for LeBron. And this year, he's played 56 games, isn't probably going to be available for this later stretch to get the Lakers into the playoffs, and they're going to miss the playoffs.
Okay, but can we be fair
I'm not done yet.
Okay, go ahead.
LeBron with the Lakers, 3 out of the first 4, 3 of the seasons have been failures. First round exit, didn't make the playoffs, and now they're not about to make the playoffs again. And outside of the 1920 season, LeBron has played 156 games out of 246 games the Lakers have had. That's almost 100 missed games in those seasons. It has been a flop. And had it not been for the 1920 bubble championship, we're talking about this LeBron to LA move as one of the biggest failures and flops in NBA history. There's no doubt about it. That's how we're talking about this move.
Okay, before you go, real quick, I'm gonna just ask Joel to add context. Because that third year, he lost to the most dominant team in the NBA over the past 2 years.
You mean the Suns?
Right.
Okay.
What he said's right.
No, I wanted to make sure,
completely right.
What I wanted to make sure.
Who did you have favored in that series?
We know who I had favored in that series.
I think we all had
Everybody had the Lakers favored in that series.
Even though the Suns
we can't be revisionist.
What were the
about
Suns,
this.
2 or 1? Were they 1?
They were 2.
They were two.
And the Lakers were 7, right?
Utah was 1.
Yeah. I favored LeBron and AD, but go ahead, guys. I'm gonna let you go.
Flop.
That's a tough word.
It is an extreme word.
It's a flop. It's what LeBron does too. On the court too.
It's insane because before LeBron got there, like you said, the Lakers were literally
This guy
garbage.
used to like LeBron.
I know.
I can't even believe it.
No, I know.
I can't even believe it.
He really used to like LeBron.
You can like LeBron, but be
I like LeBron.
Yeah.
And I'll say this.
I don't want to hear it. Go ahead, Red.
I'm objective about this because had LeBron not gone to the Lakers, before LeBron got there, they were on a 6-season playoff drought.
Yeah.
Had LeBron not got there, we're viewing the Lakers as one of the worst franchises in the NBA currently. LeBron has helped mask the dysfunction a little bit, but bad roster construction. And it's just the truth about LeBron is that he bullies teams into making bad moves. The GM is a real thing. This roster has gotten worse when they acquired Anthony Davis each season. And now you ended up with Russell Westbrook, and you can't get better from that.
So he bullied the GM into making this move, right? To trade for AD, traded Brandon Ingram, traded Kyle Kuzma, traded Lonzo Ball. They won a championship that same year. There are 11 teams in the NBA that don't have a championship. 11 teams. There's no way that you can look at this time with LeBron in LA and look at it as a failure.
Disappointing is the word I would like to use.
And you know what? I'll shake your hand because it's LeBron James. You have the expectation as the sky's the limit.
I don't even
Call
blame
it a
LeBron
failure.
for this. I don't blame LeBron. I blame Anthony Davis. And the reason why I blame Anthony Davis is
I can't say that because I'm a stan and everyone's going to say that I'm so
wanna hear this, though.
blindsided.
The reason why I blame Anthony Davis is because he's supposed to be the guy LeBron trusted to take over the keys.
I love that you're
He
saying
was
this.
supposed to be the guy that's, okay, I know for a fact I'm getting older. Nobody can beat Father Time. AD, you come here. We just won a chip. You just had one of your best seasons. You just had one of your greatest playoff runs. You're supposed to take the mantle from me and be the best player on LA. And I'm supposed to be the secondary guy. Injuries have hurt AD. His inconsistent play, him not wanting it hard enough, him not wanting it like a Giannis. Remember, we were comparing him to Giannis when he won that ring. He was on that type of level. Like, he was one of the best players in the league. And I feel like that type of hype, it kind of like got, I wouldn't say got to his head.
got
but
complacent.
He couldn't live
He got
up to it. He
complacent.
didn't play hard. And I really attribute
He
this.
just got hurt, though.
I attribute,
right.
He got hurt, but when he came back, his play wasn't consistent enough. He wasn't the same Anthony
is
Davis.
that the injuries or is that his motor?
A little bit of both.
But we say that I feel like that is more evident
bit of
this
both.
season
That's fair.
because last season when he came back against the Suns, if he stays healthy, I feel like that series is completely different.
They had a whole offseason.
No, I'm saying this season, 100% with what you're saying is at the forefront at him.
But even in the
not having
regular season
same
last year, he
desire, same
wasn't
drive.
playing that. He was all right.
No, you're right. Regular season, 100%.
He was good.
But
People
come
were,
playoff
like-
time, he was a different beast.
I understand.
Let's do a little trivia here. Let me break it down this way. And I want you guys to look at the Lakers not from the aspect of LeBron's statistics and his personal achievements. So just because LeBron had a good year doesn't mean the season was a flop. I want you guys to look at the team as a totality and tell me, did the team either succeed or fail? LeBron's first year, they go 37-45. Was that a flop or was that not?
Fail.
Let's be real though. Going into
Man, you have to add context
that-
when you make these statements.
that free agency, and he had the teams that he could have chose from. The Lakers weren't even on that list for me of places I wanted him to go that he could succeed. I was looking at the Rockets. I was looking at Philadelphia.
They had no cap space.
He chose 100%. You're right. He chose the Lakers because he wanted to go to LA and he felt like he could build something there. He wanted that Lakers legacy. I wasn't expecting a championship year one. I was expecting the playoffs.
So all that
It
to
was
say is
okay.
fail.
I'm
It was
not-
disappointment.
For one, I have a different criteria from you because you've said repeatedly that you think not winning a championship is a failure.
True.
I don't feel that way.
Well,
if
and
LeBron
they won a championship.
I
The
don't,
next year.
okay, but we're doing it by individual years.
But you're
No,
talking about
no.
his whole tenure
I'm-
there.
no,
That's the
going
question.
year by
but
year,
let me
though.
break it down. And this is the thing. With that roster in 18-19,
Come on.
I'm not expecting a championship for LeBron. Just make the playoffs. But granted, I understand he was hurt, but the team 18-19, was it a flop or was it not? It
was a flop.
You said it was a flop.
I
Here's what you
can't
said.
say it was because they were in position to make a run in the playoffs.
Ultimately, it didn't happen though.
Okay, but I can't say that season was a flop because as an
And Lonzo
organization
was hurt
leader,
too, and we forget
I'm-
how Lonzo's impact defensively was huge for them.
He had
that
a
look,
chance to get back though.
you're gonna look at that season and say, I have a good sense of hope going into next year because we were in the 4th seed. Our best player got hurt. We fell out of the playoffs. We keep him healthy. We have a great shot at doing whatever we need to. I don't see it as a flop.
LeBron, who hasn't been healthy for most of his tenure with the Lakers.
LeBron, who's averaging 31 and age 37 right
No,
now.
I understand that. But so you don't think year one in LA was a flop?
I can't consider
don't.
that a flop.
Year two, we understand won a championship. It can't be a flop.
Success. Yeah.
Third year, losing in the first round of
Flop.
Phoenix.
That
Is that a
year's
flop?
flop.
I would
Third year is
consider
flop.
that year as a
We all
flop.
see as flops. This year,
Flop.
is this not a flop?
Come on.
They were the preseason
We don't have to
favorites.
talk about
They were
it,
the
yeah, of
preseason
course.
So what
favorites
you're telling
the
me-
Nets were
in the West.
okay. There you go.
They were the preseason favorites. It's a flop.
From that breakdown, Riv and I agree. It's 75% flop. You guys think it's 50-50
I would
flop.
say 50-50.
I think this year is bigger than the first year.
you're looking at
you have
a
to
grand
put
screen.
you have to put this year. You have to hold this year more weight to his first year with LA. You have to because this year they had
You said
opportunity to win the
65 wins,
championship.
bro.
Okay, we can always bring that up into any debate with the Lakers, and you make it look
It's
bad.
important.
I'm just
But let
saying
me
it
finish,
is.
Let me finish my point. The topic was LeBron's tenure in LA a flop?
Right.
If we go by the definition of tenure, his time in LA,
Agreed.
4 years with a championship, when there's 11 franchises that don't have a single championship, it's impossible to say his
2
tenure
years
was a
he
flop.
For the
might not
most
make the
part, it was a
playoffs.
flop.
1 year he won. He
if-
won a
if
chip.
you
and then
really
the
wanna go
the
into
third
it that
time
much-
he made the first round. That's not really a success.
Okay,
Let's
but
look at great teams right now in the NBA that haven't had a championship in these 4 years. Philadelphia, Boston, your Warriors. When was
Miami.
the last time that they won?
the Warriors.
Miami
been-
didn't win championship.
Miami's another team.
What
Well,
are
the
you
recent
going?
years.
We're going at great teams.
What are you doing
saying.
here?
My point
In the
is,
4
in
years.
these 4 years, these great teams haven't won a championship. But the Lakers, with this flop
The
of a
Miami
team
Heat
right now,
don't have
you wanna-
LeBron or
this is
Anthony
different.
Davis.
they're
what's
still
crazy?
number 1, number 2, number 3 in the Eastern Conference every year.
They
were number 6 last year,
When
at least, but
LeBron
they were
and
hurt.
D Wade and Chris Bosh got together, right?
Okay, why are we
No,
going to
listen,
Miami
just
though?
answer this question.
In
When
2012,
when LeBron,
2013.
D Wade, and Chris Bosh got together and they won 2 rings, did people not say they still underachieved because they only won 2 rings in LeBron's tenure there? And that was in 4 years. And you mean to tell me in LA, he has 1 chip. He's about to miss the playoffs again. He missed the playoffs already 1 time, and he got lost in the first round another. So that's 3 disappointing years is the 1 championship. You mean to tell me that's not a failure?
And
so
not
far?
even 2. And out of those 4 years, 2 of them, you're not making the playoffs. One of them, you lose it in the first. You're not even getting deep playoff runs.
Okay.
Year 1, that roster was not built to compete. I do believe we should have made the playoffs. I don't
should at
disagree.
least made the playoffs.
Year 2, we win the whole
You get
thing.
that year.
Year 3, last year was disappointing because we were hurt.
And then this year's what?
This
this
year,
year's
no,
atrocious.
this is the worst year by
Yeah,
far, in my
definitely.
opinion.
But this year-
I
this-
can't
so
look
then
at
it's like-
last season when if Anthony Davis is healthy, we could still go and run the whole
Run it
table.
right back. They definitely
we could
can.
run the table. The whole
definitely
point of
could.
making that
But it
trade
didn't happen.
Okay,
We all
but
picked
we
the
can't
Lakers
blame
because
we
we
can't
thought
blame
AD was coming
LeBron
healthy.
for that.
I didn't blame. I said
No,
I didn't blame
I'm just
we're
we're
not-
saying
hold up.
LeBron's. Hold on, let me finish.
ahead,
Jesus. We can't say that we're looking at LeBron's tenure and calling it a flop when the big move you mentioned, led GM, and he makes all these moves that ruins team. That move that he made to get Anthony Davis that same year won a championship. That next year with Anthony Davis and him playing, Anthony Davis drops 230 balls back-to-back games, goes 2-up, 2-1, going
Then
into
gets hurt.
LA, then gets hurt. The series completely changes. Led GM was built and predicated on Anthony Davis's health. And he went down, and that was the series.
whose
Are we
fault is it?
forgetting Chris Paul couldn't dribble in that series?
And what does that have to do with anything? Because
It has a lot to do with that. It has a lot. It has a lot to do with that.
That series?
Yes, it
It
was.
was.
I thought it was the Clippers one.
I'm almost
No. He went on the JJ Redick podcast and said I couldn't dribble past game 3.
It's true.
On the
okay,
Lakers.
okay.
So
Okay.
what do you mean it has nothing to do
That
with it?
Suns team went to the
hold on, hold on.
finals.
So wait, so it was an extension.
Hold on,
like,
hold on.
after game
Raver,
3?
hold up. Let me just say this. Weren't you the same person that called Chris Paul a superstar?
In Houston, correct.
No,
And
you
still.
called him a superstar still.
He still is.
Okay, so you're telling me Phoenix's superstar
I thought he was.
Phoenix's superstar player couldn't dribble a basketball, their main engine.
They have another superstar.
The guy with
They
the
have another
most playoff
superstar.
experience.
They have another
But
superstar.
you're saying if
And they have
Anthony
one of the
Davis,
deepest
you're
teams in
saying
the NBA.
okay, you're saying if Anthony Davis doesn't go down, the Lakers run the table.
They could.
Chris Paul
They could.
went down.
We're talking about LeBron and AD
Chris
when
Paul
healthy, two
went
top 5
down.
players. Don't play
Chris
with them.
Paul went down. Don't
play
act
with
like
them.
Phoenix was this
Just
most
say,
healthy
don't
team.
come
on.
Chris Paul went down.
Okay, and we're talking about LeBron better than that whole team. We're talking
LeBron
Anthony Davis
didn't.
better than that whole team.
LeBron
Don't
didn't.
try it.
LeBron averaged 23 points in that series and,
LeBron
wasn't efficient.
And there was 2 games that he came back before that series. He was hurt.
He quit
you give
in
him no,
game
You
6.
give him no slack because they were done. That team was.
Oh, so
they were
you're
getting
you're
washed.
acknowledging he quit and you accept it.
Okay, so what though? What does that have to do with anything?
So you're acknowledging he
Does
quit.
this
and
make you feel
this
good
is-
with having a point that you made like 6 months ago?
This
How about we
is-
talk about the conversation we're having right now?
Right.
This is
Come on.
your issue when talking about LeBron and the Lakers tenure.
Gets emotional.
When you talk about LeBron,
Come on, I'm giving facts though.
when you talk
This is
about the
crazy.
LeBron,
A little
It's
emotions,
like
I ain't gonna lie.
it gets called emotional when I spit facts, and you guys just don't like what I'm saying.
LeBron.
I
When
love
you
what you're
talk-
saying. 'cause
when
I
you
agree.
talk-
I actually agree with what
when
you're
you
saying.
talk about the Lakers LeBron tenure, you are trying to split the two, and you're trying to make it out to be, well, the
Won
Lakers
a
success.
championship. That's enough. That's the end of the conversation. You have 11 teams, no championship. That's it.
Well, the Lakers team success doesn't go hand in hand with LeBron's individual success. The Lakers
Won a
LeBron tenure.
championship. They hadn't made the playoffs 7 years before that.
The
That's
Lakers
it.
LeBron tenure goes hand in hand with the team's success. The team has failed 3 out of the 4 seasons. I remember when the Celtics created the Big Three.
I can't
Ray
necessarily
Allen,
agree with that statement, by the way.
You can't.
It's
you
not.
Can't, you have to because you said it's championship or bust.
No, I agree with that, but I'm saying you can't look at that.
So that
it's
means
all
3 failed seasons
My point
out
is
of 4.
you're saying that it's all predicated on LeBron's success. Meanwhile, we all said
I never said that.
You literally just said that.
No, I said
you literally said
the
it
way
5
you
seconds
view
ago.
the way you view this question is the Lakers as a team. If they don't succeed, that's fine as long as LeBron does what he has to do. This is the Lakers tenure.
Who's saying that? But you're saying I'm saying that.
LeBron era. The Lakers LeBron era is 4 seasons.
on.
3 of them, by your definition of what a successful and a failed season is. 3 of those seasons have been failures. 1 of them have been a success. I remember when the Boston Celtics traded for Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett.
Yeah.
And although they won a championship, we view that team as underachieving because they lost to Orlando. They lost to the Lakers in 2010. And though they had injuries, we don't view the Celtics as they maximized that Big 3.
You can't-
Disappointing.
Okay, so is disappointing necessarily failures, even though they won a championship and haven't won a championship since? I'm sure every single Boston fan looks at that season and they say, man, I absolutely love and adore this team. There's been no other team to reach those heights that they did.
Word.
What hurts
failure.
the Lakers is that championship they won, fans didn't get to resonate and enjoy it. There was no parade for that championship.
So what though?
That means a lot.
What does this mean?
That means a lot.
You're saying a lot of empty.
The city didn't
noise. That's how I'm
resonate. The
feeling
city
right now.
didn't resonate with that championship.
That means a lot.
Because
Not
of
having
COVID?
a parade for a championship means a lot.
That
no,
does mean a
it
lot.
means something because when you get to share a
Come
championship
on,
with your
y'all.
fans, that
Y'all
means a
just
lot.
coming up
That
with
really,
a
that legit means a
criteria
lot.
that doesn't mean anything.
That legit
It's just
means
an
a lot,
empty
bro.
criteria right now. Honestly,
mean,
God.
It's a celebration of what you just did.
I mean,
So because they didn't have a parade, that championship.
Because
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
because they
I
didn't
don't think he said
celebrate
that.
what they did.
I don't think he
Nobody
said
said
that,
the
though.
championship. No,
don't
nobody.
think he
Yeah,
said that.
I didn't
It's
say
just
that.
a stupid point.
Nobody
Super-
said-
super
nobody-
strong. It's
nope.
just unnecessary.
Nobody said
Empty claim.
nobody said the championship didn't matter, but it definitely matters when you get to celebrate the championship. The Bucks won their first championship in 50 years with Giannis Antetokounmpo. The city, the way they celebrated with that, with the Bucks or the Raptors championship that they won in the past 4 years have been the same if they weren't able to celebrate it with their fans.
But what does that matter? That doesn't mean anything.
It matters because it's not that it doesn't matter.
LA hadn't made it to the
I
playoffs
think-
in 7 seasons. LeBron gets there in year 2, a championship. I'm sure LA fans are ecstatic.
hold up. So 3 out of the 4 seasons, according to your criteria, the Lakers failed. Okay, so that means even if you don't want to say it was completely a flop,
And when there's 11
Lakers-
teams that haven't won a championship, I'm okay with that.
so you're telling me the Lakers LeBron tenure has been mostly a
You
flop,
never actually answered
not
the
a
question.
complete flop.
What is it? Is it a flop or not?
I
Disappointing.
said no. That's initially my exact. My
So what
first
is it?
statement I actually made was there's 11 teams that. Have
So
never
wait,
won
what
a
is it though? What is LeBron's tenure in?
If he was
LA,
there and they
what is-
didn't win a single championship, 100%.
So what do you consider it?
I
4
think it's
years.
disappointing.
Disappointing?
Yeah, no, which is
everybody's
exactly
stealing
what I
my
said.
word.
That's a great word.
We
That's
all
a great
looked
way
at
to
you
put
and
it,
said it's
though.
100%
Right.
I mean, yeah.
facts.
Because like you said, you're gonna put that first year against Bron. I don't know why, because he was 4th seed.
I didn't put it against. I'm
Against
not
the
putting
Lakers,
against
against the
Bron.
Lakers. I'm saying,
I'm
but
saying that's the facts of what happened.
Any team without a second caliber player anywhere near the level of their first caliber player, if their first caliber player gets hurt, that first option, what are they gonna
And
do?
Brandon Ingram broke out the
they're
very next
doomed
year.
at that point.
Brandon Ingram broke out the very next year.
He broke out in the second half of that first year as well.
He
I
did.
got to give him that.
So he
credit.
was a second star, you could say, with the
Nah,
Lakers. at
not
that
a
point.
star. He wasn't a star at that point.
19 points per
He was
game
an
is all star
he was-
caliber.
He was an
2019?
he was an
18, 19.
He was an ascending star. I agree, but he wasn't
All-star
a star.
caliber.
Not yet.
That's what it
Not at
is.
that point though.
That's what it is. In
Not
the
at
second
that
half of the
point.
season, he definitely played at an all-star caliber level. So
He was too
what you're-
inconsistent to be
So
there.
if you're
Right,
am
that's a fair
I
point.
wrong here, Riv, or is disappointing if you call the Lakers LeBron tenure disappointing, isn't it calling it basically mostly a flop?
Flop is a little bit more disrespectful.
Right, because flop is like, yo,
Maybe
you
the
just put together a
wording
team and didn't
is
work.
more
But
intense.
It's the same thing,
but
but
it's the
flopping
same
is a little
thing.
more disrespectful. That's why I guess that's why.
So
I'm taking
here we
it.
go. This is how I'm going to call it. This is a flop. Harden's time in Houston.
Ooh,
That's not a flop.
It's a flop. Didn't win a championship.
No, Harden's
I wouldn't
time.
consider that a
Harden's
flop.
time with the Nets is a flop.
So question.
Definitely.
There it is.
That's without
There
a
it is.
doubt.
There it
That's
is.
without a doubt.
That's a
But
flop.
My point being is Harden should have delivered a championship to the city of Houston. There's no.
He ran
there's
into
no
Golden
championship.
State. He ran into the best team that ever got assembled.
But he was up
So, but then
3-2.
Chris Paul got hurt.
LeBron,
he
even
was
with
up
all the
3-2.
injuries, still won a championship.
Say it again, Keith.
James Harden was up 3-2 in that series.
With what
Chris
injuries did
Paul got
LeBron
hurt,
win a
but
championship?
James Harden was still
I'm
there.
just saying, with his tenure and all the injuries,
up big.
even still, there's still a season in that
Wait,
tenure that
the-
they have a championship.
For one, this
boy.
LeBron
because
Harden.
again, we can't forget the word tenure. We're talking about his extended time.
This
there.
LeBron Harden conversation is moot because we know LeBron's accomplished so much. But Harden's second best player went down. Chris Paul. I've already said how I feel about that entire thing. Has LeBron ever had his second co-star fall down an injury and win a championship?
2013,
Against who?
the Spurs.
Who got injured?
Who got hurt?
Dwayne Wade was playing with injured knees,
But he played. He played.
We all know Dwayne Wade was literally invincible that series.
What about Chris Bosh though? He said his third guy.
Chris Bosh, who was just
Ray Allen was huge.
So you're saying?
almost
So
did
you're
it, though.
saying?
you're
So
saying
you're
LeBron went.
this is
so
the
you're
time.
saying no?
LeBron went, and he played a team that was going to be 73-9 the next year, and he snuck 2 games out of them.
You're right. I'm not disagreeing with
So
you.
Harden hasn't even.
But don't do
touched
that.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you,
No,
but
it's a
they
different
didn't
conversation.
win.
Different
But Harden's
conversation.
tenure was not a
didn't win.
failure though. I wouldn't call it a failure.
If you wanna-
yeah, consistency.
It's not
making
a
And notice,
failure,
and
no.
Rev, notice how Rockets James Harden. That's not a flop.
It's more of a
The
flop
Nets-
than LeBron in LA for sure.
The Nets.
LeBron won a championship.
he's a
Why are we
champion.
ignoring that?
You cannot
Like,
ex-
I just,
yeah,
it's
like,
boggling my
the
mind.
Nets-
It's
'cause he
boggling
would've
my
checked.
the
mind.
Nets.
He won
The
a chip.
Nets. The Nets. James Harden. That era was a flop.
We're throwing
But
KD into that mix also.
If you notice though, I'm not over here saying, "Oh, it was a flop because Harden got hurt and Kyrie got hurt." No, but it's the facts of what happened. It was ultimately a flop.
No, that
the
was-
same way how that first Lakers season was a
Harden
flop.
was never
the
hurt.
same way how that third Lakers season was a flop, and the
gloss
same
over
way
the
how
second.
this current Lakers season is a flop as well. So if you have 3 flops out of 4, you're floppy.
You know,
But if
I know.
James
I
Harden-
understand.
hold
No,
on,
but
hold on,
it's-
because-
it's ironic because the
He's
one
trying
not
to-
flop.
but look,
No,
to be
bro,
fair.
please, the one not flop was a championship.
But here's the
That's
thing,
it.
though, Drew.
That's the only way I can look at it.
Here's
We
the
got
thing,
LeBron stands
because
up
if
here.
Harden
That's what it
was
is.
to
No,
get
and
hurt,
that's the thing I have an issue with because when you defend, you're trying to make a claim on LeBron, you automatically are a stan. I'm telling you the facts.
Okay,
If-
so let me.
if
okay.
Harden
Right
was
now
to
you're
get
showing
hurt-
your LeBron hate by saying
Harden
that
was
with
to-
I said it
no
was
cha-
disappointing, and I don't even blame LeBron. I don't blame LeBron at all.
I know. I'm not disagreeing with
Me
you.
either.
I think he was
I haven't
great.
blamed LeBron once for the
Exactly.
Lakers.
I'm not-
failures.
I'm not blame- I'm not
I know
saying
it's
you guys are
mostly
blaming
due
LeBron.
to roster construction.
Yeah, I know who
so
I blame.
Answer this question, you two, because you guys are the
Disney
ones that
World.
love LeBron.
Oh,
but also,
see, like you see what I'm
Nah,
saying?
they just be trying to get
Right.
I'm
Like,
just gotta
no,
ignore
no,
it.
the
I
LeBron.
blame Disney World.
Come on, Joe.
Let me
Yo,
ask you
keep
the
it straight
straight
face with me
question.
right now,
Yes
man.
or
Come on,
no?
let's go.
Straight question.
I can't even
Has
look
the
at Joe.
Lakers LeBron tenure mostly been a flop?
He tried to say
No,
Okay, you don't think it's mostly been a flop?
as long as you got that
Bro,
championship,
the
you
word
can't say
flop
it's a
is
flop.
so like
LeBron.
You know what I mean, Joe? Bro,
You don't
flop-
think it's the same as disappointing? I think it's the same
no,
thing.
because they
Do you understand
actually
a
won
flop
a
is complete
championship.
utter failure?
Yeah, like they actually
3
won
years
a
have been
championship.
complete utter
They
failures.
won a championship, bud. That's it.
No,
Put it to
3
bed.
years they've been complete utter failures. The
Put it to
Lakers
bed.
have.
They have a championship. It's over. There's no conversation after that.
So you think it hasn't
done.
mostly been a flop?
It's done.
What about you? You didn't answer the question straight. I know you're smarter than that.
Flop is tough for me to just be like, yo, yeah, he just went to LA and flopped. Like he just like, no, I can't say that. I can't.
It hasn't mostly been a flop.
I can't say that. They won a
Do y'all
championship
look at do y'all look at the big three's tenure as disappointing?
in Boston. Mm-hmm. I don't.
I don't.
They
won a
beat Kobe
championship.
Bryant.
And then the Heat
They were
assembled.
favored though.
Okay.
They got Ron Artest and it was over.
I don't know. I
They
look
had a
at-
reason the first
You win the
True.
chip. You win the chip once, but you miss it. You miss
Be
the playoffs twice.
completely unsuccessful. Fail totally.
You really looked it up.
Read it one more time because Joel didn't hear it. He didn't respond.
To be completely unsuccessful. Fail totally.
Let's look at him now.
And so let's again. How about we just move on to the next topic
Good.
and understand where we stand.
Disappointing for me. Definitely.
And I'll shake your hand.
Right.
Definitely, that's definitely.
I won't shake your hand, but
That's definitely disappointing for me though.
A total failure is the next one. Wow.
Oh, and I blame AD. Disney close. Gotta blame him.